Hello, beautiful pheasants, and welcome in. It's gonna be a great day at the tavern today. I have on the screen for y'all to enjoy the epic monstrosity that resulted from yesterday's special Eloa event stream. It was really awesome. It's the video on demand or whatever. You can watch it on my YouTube channel right now under the live tab. It was such a fun stream, y'all. Thanks to everyone that was there. But if you missed it, don't worry, it's there. And this whole thing was made on stream. Like, no reused assets at all. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But for this specific exercise, that would defeat the point. So yes. It was so much fun. Legit, I look back on this and I'm like, I can't believe I did that in 4 hours. Like, what a difference between this and the amount of progress I made for the Fall of Eloa. Again, that was still a fantastic stream. Great show. But it's obvious that in just 2 months, I've gotten a lot more comfortable with iterating and moving on, you know? It's been pretty awesome. Eloa is an awesome model, of my favorites for sure. Thank you, thank you. And thank you for making it happen, literally. I wouldn't have pulled this out of my brain by naturally. Really awesome though. We're gonna be reviewing some student work today. I got permission from the student for level 1 critique, which is as intense as it gets, which I guess is counterintuitive. Maybe I should flip that order. Anyway, it's gonna be really awesome. I actually prepared notes. I've already reviewed it. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this because this is one of my students that's like not a beginner. They're already quite excellent, which means I can like really dig into their sculpt and everyone's gonna have something to learn from it. My favorite. Yeah, John's like, let's go. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited. That won't be until happy hour. And if you miss it, John, I'll send you a timestamp either way for you to be able to review it. I appreciate you being brave because like being able to do it on stream is so much nicer because if I have to type it out, you just get less. You know what I mean? It's so much easier for me to just like talk about it for 10 minutes, much more dense. And then you can ask questions if you're like, I don't know what you mean by that. I can elaborate. But yeah, hope you guys are doing good. And we'll be cleaning up the Secretary of Birdfolk Ranger and the, I keep calling it a bandit thief. Bandit fighter. It's the character inspired from Liza P. Yeah. Turned out very nice. And y'all know that I don't love doing pose cleanup. It's not my favorite thing. So I'm going to try to keep it at like a brisk pace and get some cool models finished today. My favorite thing to do on stream is to start new models, but I understand that I have to finish work for that to happen too. Today especially though, if you guys have different questions or just, I don't know, not hot button topics, but sure, whatever, I'll be chattier than usual because doing post-processing for pose cleanup doesn't use up that much of my brain. So I'm happy to chat with y'all. But if not, feel free to hang out, kick back, enjoy the vibes, and watch stuff come together. Sater says you should color code it. Red, yellow, green, or whatever. Yeah, I could see that. Red being really intense. We have a code red today. Oh, I like that. That's cheesy. I like that. All right, I'm gonna do that now. Red, yellow, green. Green being really sweet. Really nice. I like it. Sater says, my favorite thing for you to do on stream is to get roasted. I was saying that to John too, and they were just like, I'm a big boy. It's literally what they said. And I was like, excellent. My favorite. Oh, that's great. All right, downloading these files, and then we'll get them all cleaned up. So these were posed in Character Creator, but I do pose on stream every now and then. I post stuff that's, there's no point to rig it. Like the chicken musketeer we did, I'm not going to rig a chicken. They're really not that hard to pose. But like for people, it's really important that I'm able to rig it because there's so much artistry and like lines you need to get right for posing. And the best way to do that is through iteration. And it's very slow to iterate when you're manually moving stuff around because with posing, the adjustments you're doing are very, very small. So yes, that's why I use Character Creator 4. That being said, if you don't know how to pose at all, like you haven't used Transpose Master and pose stuff by hand, Character Creator 4 will not be your saving grace. You can still break the rig. You can still get goofy looking poses. All right, here's that filter. I'll get everything kind of put together. I like it. I'm gonna let doors open happen right now. I'll roll into Tavern Keeper's Craft as needed. Maybe if I can get this done at a brisk enough clip, we can start a brand new model today too. I got 3 really cool ones lined up here. All right. Let's start with the Secretary Birdfolk because I think that one's gonna be harder. And make myself small. Oh look, the poly paint stayed. I don't know what dictates whether or not Character Creator 4 keeps the poly paint. If you click texture, it should enable that, but I swear sometimes it just destroys it, other times it keeps it. I don't know. It doesn't matter for me, I just do it for fun anyway, the poly paint. But yeah, here is our Birdfolk. Actually won't require too much cleanup. I like it. So the way that this works from Character Creator to ZBrush is that it puts all the changes as a layer. So if I try to move one of these subtools, it'll scream at me, mesh has deformation layers. So you can't sculpt unless you pause like the recording mode essentially. I just bake all of it down. Just don't worry about it. So as a result, I lose my subdivision levels, but I really only want my subdivision level so I can pose. Now that it's been posed, I don't need all my subdiv for cleanup. I just go to merge visible. We got our little thing here. I'm gonna name it action. Copy tool, and I'm just grabbing from different projects and combining it to one ZPR. So what does that mean? You'll see. So I'm taking that piece I had before. I'm gonna open up my new ZPR. I could theoretically have these in the same one to start with. I just find it, there's fewer errors this way. Looking good. I'm gonna paste that tool from before. You'll see I have one subtool here. Merge visible. We're gonna name this is the casual. And now I can append and bring that into the same tool right here. We're gonna move it over. There we go. Verbs. And last but not least, I make sure to keep the unposed version just in case anything gets too goofed up. It's easier to grab from the T-pose here. There we go. I also think it's kind of aesthetic during the stream to have this off to the side stamped while I work on the pose. I'll just move this over here. And then hello, this is Mia. By the way, I got my first animal-based commission from Sean's that I started today. Oh, very nice. Cool. Proud of you. You've been tackling a lot of stuff recently and on your own, which is great. You're killing it. If you need help, just reminder, you can always be like, I'm stuck. It doesn't have to be a huge reveal every single time. It's okay if I'm spoiled if you need help. Though I do enjoy the reveal still, of course. All right, let's move our lighting around. I'm a big fan of dramatic lighting. Oh yes. Hey, Dislingual. This looks so good. I'm actually really excited to print and paint this one. Oh, nice. That makes me happy. Yeah, I didn't finish this one on stream. You guys kind of missed out on this one a little bit. It doesn't happen very often. I usually do everything on stream. Y'all, I did not have time to stream last week. I have not streamed that little in I don't know how long. Seriously. Let's brighten this up. I'm like, I can't even see it. Ooh, too bright. There we go. I go pretty exaggerated. I just think it makes it easier for y'all to see on stream. If it's ever like just crazy blown out, let me know. It might be your TV, it might be your phone, but probably not. All right. Very cool. It didn't turn out as feminine as I wanted it to, but I still like it. I still really like it. We only need one copy of the base, so let's go ahead and name that base. And again, we're doing cleanup today, so this doesn't take a whole lot of brain for me. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I want a rock. Let's just bring in my rocks. I found that with these digitigrade legs, it's easiest to just put one of the feet on a freaking rock. That's like the easiest way to keep that bend in the leg without looking ridiculous. It's not cheating, it's just being clever. There we go. Gonna put it roughly right here. I don't care if it's crazy polished or not right now. Just wanna boop, put it down. And then when I export this, the rock will be part of the model as opposed to part of the base. That way, if someone wants to use a different base, they can without it being like a lopsided model. It'll be roughly like that. All right, cool. Let's start with the action pose first. Usually my favorite, and today is no exception. It is still my favorite. Okay, let's set a timer on my watch. I'm gonna try to get this, I'm gonna try to move everything into place within 15 minutes. That sounds fair. Let's see how we do. I like to go from the bottom up, kind of look at the feet, see if I can find any huge problems. I usually have move topological selected, so I can just click and drag things into place a little bit. I make a lot of this cleanup look really easy because I've done it like 1,000 times. Posing is very tricky, and you'll always have to do a little bit of resculpting, so don't feel discouraged if you are working on a model and you feel like the pose destroyed your model. Join the club. It's really, really common. As I grab pieces that I want to clean up or adjust, I split them off into their own subtool, and I do that just by masking and then clicking on split mask points. If I ever describe something, like a workflow that I have, just like that, really bare bones, just the concept, and you're trying to copy like what I just described based on my very bare bones description, ask questions. I didn't say any of the hotkeys that I use. I didn't say any of that stuff. You're gonna have a very hard time figuring it out on your own. I just talk in larger, broader strokes just for the sake of the stream, so I don't say the same hotkeys like 1,000 bajillion times. There we go, that looks pretty good. And then for this side, I really need to bend this part of the skirt up. So I'm gonna be careful when I do that. I'm gonna use my mask lasso brush. Just kind of grab a loop, just like that. I'm gonna blur it as much as I can. Again, it's really high poly, so it's not gonna wanna blur. So you know what? That's not going to work. The more polys, the more problems, I like to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and decimate this down to only 100,000 points instead of 1.2 million, because that's gonna make it very hard to work with. Hello, it says Mia, can you get a zoom in on that little bag the burp person has? Absolutely. And Sater says, Mia, I actually do have a question. Ask away. I'm going to zoom in on the bag once it's done processing. It's thinking. I am not 100% certain if I made this or modified it and took it from somewhere else. But yes, I could show you guys how to make this during happy hour if you want. There we go. All right, so I have decimated this. Now we're going to loop. Now I hold down command and click on the mask portion. Look, it actually blurs, not just like a super hard line. Sater asked, did you watch Princess Mononoke? No, I completely forgot. I did, backpedaling, I did say this week I will watch it. I don't like your question. Next question. So when I am doing like organic deformations, I like to use the transpose line. Just kind of click and drag along, you know, the piece of the mesh that you want to move, and then click and drag. If you don't click the letter R, it's not going to rotate the piece. It's going to stretch it, however. So just be careful, because you could like really goof this up if you wanted to. Sater said, well, then I'm still on strike. You said last night. Yes, and then I very quickly was like, wait, maybe just this week. I'm a busy woman. I had to play like 6 continuous straight hours of Against the Storm last night. Oh, hey, Payne says, who is tagged by the Haver Peasant tag? Can I be included? My first thought is no. Of course, of course. Go to, speaking of, if you guys want that peasant tag, it is not exclusive. You just give it to yourself. You go over to rules and roles and click on Haver Peasant. This little farmer. I forget that. Go to Rules and rules. To get your peasant. And screenshot. Boop. Good question. B strike time. Or bell for any reason. Sater says, don't make me find it and make Eloa clip it. Oh no, I definitely said I was going to watch it that night. And then I immediately backpedaled on that stream too. I was like, yeah, I'll maybe just buy this week. Don't make me clip myself. I know what I said. I know what I backpedaled on. John says, Mia, do you ever sculpt in a pose state? Or am I stupid for even thinking that, lol? No, you're not stupid at all. I don't do it very often because I rig stuff, but especially when I do creatures, I do frequently sculpt posed. But because I'm going to rig it, yeah, it benefits me most to do it this way. But if I'm doing like a dancer, or like a really, really complicated pose, or even like an anatomy study, if you're like a brand new beginner, I really don't think that there's a lot for you to benefit from trying to sculpt posed. You're just going to get super overwhelmed. But by brand new beginner, I mean like you don't know how to navigate ZBrush, just to be clear. But it's a great exercise. Not stupid at all. And especially if you know you don't want multiple variations of your piece, yeah, sculpt a pose, have fun. Who cares if it's not the most efficient, especially if you're not doing it as like a business like I am? Who cares? I got the time is money, honey thing going on, so it's very important to me that I don't just take forever on everything. I also, again, my background's in mechanical engineering, so like I love problem solving and optimizing, and to me, finding a way to make models faster while not sacrificing quality is one of my favorite problems to solve, and I'm always finding new solutions and iterating on that. Yeah, Eloa says, yes, always fun to break symmetry early. Eloa, I want to see you do a crazy action pose sometime this year. I want to see like... Yeah, I want to see a crazy line of action. Diorama worthy. I mean, you've already done pieces that are detailed enough to be diorama worthy for sure. I mean, it depends what kind of diorama you want to do. Like that angel you just made, the ASMR was incredible. That could definitely be printed super big. But you get what I mean. I mean like crazy pose. Like, think like rearing horse epic. Hey, new sub. Thanks, Johnny. Ah, T-Bird. That's way cooler. I'm gonna call you T-Bird. Hey, I'm sculpting a burb today. I like it. Yeah, comic book cover poses. Exactly, Bunny. Exactly. Satyr, I'd give you pulling, but I won't use my powers while I'm on strike. Oh my god. The mod drama ensues. I love how we don't have any like drama in this community, so my mod just have to like make it up. That was not part of your guys' job description, but I appreciate whatever you're doing. Yeah, ironic username for sure. Alright, I'm getting a little fussy with this. I don't need to be so exact on clipping. There we go. On to the next thing. So one thing that happens with Character Creator is I've noticed that the lats get like gigantic, like this area. You can fix that by weighting the mesh, or I can just come in here like a heathen, take my move brush and just boop, fix. Sometimes modern problems require modern solutions, but no, seriously, even though there can be a smarter way to do things, sometimes brute forcing it rarely is actually just faster. Now, if you're doing that for the entire model, no. That's silly. That's like posing the model with the move brush. God, can you imagine posing an entire model with no masking, no rigging, no weighting, just the move brush? Eloa, do not make that a challenge. Don't. No. I'd quit. That'd be my last stream ever. Micah says, I mean, it depends on the action pose complexity you're talking about, Mia. One of my characters I'll be commissioning later does parkour, and my sole current reference is wall running. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that counts. That counts faux show. Bunny says, to be fair, I think an archer might end up with huge lats. You were not wrong. You were not wrong. Just Lingual says, you knew you were getting into when you modded the people who rebel the most. Don't take tone with me. Don't even start with me. John says, lol, I thought that's how you were supposed to pose it. Okay, we're going to teach you lots. We're going to teach you lots of good stuff. No. God, no. Masking. You're going to use a lot of masking and transpose master. I need to make a whole video just on that. I mean, I cover it in streams. I show you guys how, but I like having really dense videos for my students to access to. All right, this is looking good. Really just... I wonder if I ask nicely if the fingernails will just pose themselves. What do you think? All right, I'm gonna try to do a smart thing with the fingernails right now because I have to do it with both poses. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a single fingernail and we're gonna make a brush out of it. This may or may not work. Stay tuned. All right, I deleted all of the fingernails. I just have this one claw right here. I'm gonna center it in my scene the best that I can and then make sure it is symmetrical. So I'm gonna click on mirror and weld to achieve that. Nope. We're gonna scoot it over as much as needed. I don't care if it changes the shape a little bit. We just don't want it like super busted. There, looks like a claw. Great. And this is the part I always screw up because I forget when you make your insert mesh brush, the way it attaches to the mesh is based on when you create it, what orientation it is. Does that make sense? So I need this to be either like this or like this, and I can't remember which one it is, and I will never remember which one it is. I will just make 2 copies of the brush every time, it seems like. Anyway, to make this insert multi-mesh, click B for brush palette, and then create insert mesh. New. And now when I go to my model over here, I theoretically should be able to just click and drag and create fingernails. See? I did it wrong. Oh, no, maybe I did do it right. God, I cannot tell right now. Oh no, that's pretty good. That's fine. All right, notice how it's kind of like sitting on top of the mesh. It's not like on it. Click on B for brush palette, depth, and pull this little circle down, and that will embed it into the mesh. And I really don't care if it's not perfect. I can move it around, move topological later. I just didn't want to like move every single piece manually. Does that make sense? And it takes me like 10 seconds to make it create insert mesh brush. Hey, chicken's back. Brings chicken and fish has returned. Who's fish? They miss fish. All right. Also, to make sure that each nail is the same size, here's another trick for you. When you click and drag, if you hold Command down, that's Control on Windows, it will snap to a specific size, and that size is based on your draw size. So it's at a 6.5. Let's make it 23, just to show you guys. So now I do that, it will snap to a larger size. Looks like our answer is going to be about 15. There you go. So now I can just, let's make it smaller. Click and drag, click Command, and it will snap on there. Again, I'm still gonna have to do some moving around, but this was faster, I think. You know, it was at least cooler. Is this still too small, the fingernail? How big of nails do we want? I like big claws on my models. Stop being dumb. This is so sensitive, oh my God. All right, good enough. All right. Now that I've done enough talking about it, let's get it in action. God, this orientation sucks. Oh. Why are you the way you are right now? Whatever. At the very least, it has my gizmo like attached to this mesh in a smart way, so it's really easy for me to like flip the mesh around. That alone makes it worth it. And then where the heck do I even put these nails? It's gonna like stab through the palm. That's fine. I'm gonna scoot these around later using Move Topological. I've learned when it comes to hands and hand details, I know it seemed really finicky and super small. Dude, it's worth it. It's always worth it. Hands are so expressive. It's important. They're called talons when they're on birds. Yes. But they're like hands. These are not feet. Does this still apply? feet, hands. Bunny says, are you worried the crest feathers are going to be hard to print? No, I'm not worried about it. Satyr, oh dear sweet Bunny. They're not done. That's the short answer. Also, they point damn near straight up. All of them but 2, so don't get me started. Well, birds don't have feet on their hands, so... Oh, there's my timer. Oh, I'm going way too slow. It's okay. We're having fun. What's new? Oh, I changed my draw size. Of course I did. I think I picked 17. All talons are claws. Not all claws are talons. Yeah. You know, honestly, just having the gizmo oriented automatically makes this brush worth it as it is. Cool. I'm still gonna need to move these around, I'm aware. And while we're at it, anything's gonna be hard to print on this. We got a bowstring. We got talon claw feet, hands. There we go. All right, we got them all mushed around. Let's move. Does your model need to be keyed for printing? No. God, no. Please don't key your minis. Like, if they're big prints, sure. But, like, people that... also, it's Fabric Keeper's Craft. Woo. Okay. Don't key this. Just don't. Don't. It's tiny. If you're making a module or mini, I guess, just print 2 copies of it with your different versions. Don't key this. Now, if you want to key this... It's still stupid. Don't. Just print as one piece. You need to have a pretty big model. Or you're a professional painter and you really want to have, you know, be able to manipulate your piece very, very easily. That I totally understand. But otherwise, just print the damn thing as one piece. You don't have to be a heathen like me and print it already to the base. Like, you don't have to do that. But yeah. Yeah. Good question. John, what is key? Keying is when you take a model and let's say you just like, you don't want to print it all in one piece. So you'll like cut their arm off and you'll put like a little peg on one side of the arm and on the body put a little bit like a hole so it fits together, kind of like a Lego. She doesn't, or hasn't, as far as I know, ever made a model that needs to be keyed. That's true. I probably didn't need to. I have keyed models before and provided them that way. I made like a Hydra, and I thought it'd be fun to key that, especially if you put magnets in it, and like as your players defeated heads, you can just like pull the heads off. But yeah. Chicken says, "Oh, I like it. You're learning. I see the understanding." That was a good question. And I'm mostly just teasing Bunny about asking me if I'm concerned if it's going to print. It's just like it's an ongoing joke here that I hate when people ask me that. And like I do, but like it's fine to ask questions. It's the same way like when someone's just been doing a profession for a very, very long time. You know, there's certain questions that you probably never liked answering very much. You're never going to like them, but there's value in it for sure. I've said enough. Ask questions. Don't worry about it. I can be as crusty as I want. Also. So to make these smaller, I'm simply using the pinch brush because obviously the talon shouldn't be the exact same size on every finger. Your fingernails get smaller and whatnot. But I don't mind if it's on the large side. There we go. And then Chicken asks, why are print in place keying so different than the normal keying? It's annoying. Shake my head. Oh, that's right. That's right. Chicken's working on a different project. Like, think of like articulated dragons and that kind of stuff, or like printing chainmail. Yeah, bro, when you messaged me that and you're like, this is what I'm working on, I was like, you picked something very difficult. I commend you. It is very difficult what you're trying to do, Chicken, but I believe in you. I do. And pretty much, I really think your best bet, I know I sent you a ton of materials for this already, but just take someone who's already solved that problem and just like copy it, literally. Just take that hinge and then design your own critter around it. Also, I know you said that you sculpted that model of Bolt. It looks so freaking good. I almost didn't believe you in the best way. I was like, where did you get that? Not a lot of people can sculpt that proficiently and accurately. Good job. I love this super crunchy conversation that Bunny and Satyr are having. They are both in their element. All right, let's lower this a touch. All right, so to create the drawstring the way it actually should be, I do it after the fact because posing bows is hard. I'm gonna use my curved tube brush. Click, go to picker, make sure once Z is activated, not continuous Z. And then I can simply rotate this where I can see both. Ha, muted my sneeze. Okay, and then click right here and just draw a straight line to the hand. Or just roughly that distance. If you don't get it right the first time, it's not a big deal. Just put your gizmo at the top here. What are you doing? At the top here and then rotate it. Here we go. And I just have it kind of like impale their hand. Obviously it's a really chunky bowstring because this needs to print. Eloa, don't even start with me right now. No. Bunny, can I nitpick about the shape of the bow? No, God, you can be crunchy with each other, but not with me. Also, you have already done this with me, specifically with this bow. I already know that. Chicken said, I did not know that keying would be that difficult before accepting the work. Oh no, is it like a commission that you're working on? Oh no, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Satyr, shut up. All right, and then once you have one of these sections done, just Command-Shift-D. That will duplicate it. And then you can just go to this pivot point here and whoop, rotate. And it should mostly reach. Chicken says, thank you. I made that bowl for a college seminar. I also rendered it an environment to Blender. Very nice. Yes, leave my quadruple recurve nonsense bow alone. I've had that forever and it's aesthetic and I like it. I've had so many crunchy bow nerds be like, actually in the best way. And I'm just like, I'm aware and no. Why are you not moving at all? Oh, the whole thing was masked. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I used that bow for this one too, but this one looks a little more arced. I like that one a little better. I love how I show you guys the tiny mini. I have the same one, but gigantic. It just looks so good when printed. Yeah. I think this one's actually more correct. I don't care. Leave me alone. Bunny says, man, I'm just making a million faux pas today, aren't I? No, you're fine. You are so fine. I'm being super crusty with you because I think you're great and I know you. If I'm hurting your feelings, I'm sorry. I'm just being crunchy. I'm like all looking at the bow now. I'm like, maybe I should just push. That does look a lot better, just pushing it straight out. Again, I know that's not what's probably wrong with it. But that does look nice. gonna leave it alone. We're not worried. We're not. Yep, we're moving on. Okay. I'm like, stop it, Mia. Okay. Are those at the point I want them to be? Yes. There we go. Hello, remember guys, no criticism. Stop. Anyway, Sater says, that's the best part about Mia. Do tell. She's just as aware of the crunch. Sometimes she caves, sometimes she's like, it's fine, I like it. It's true. It just depends on the day. I do not take myself too seriously. It took me a long time to get like that. I used to take myself way too seriously. Y'all, my mods know, especially like my earlier streams, like I would be so defensive. Like I acted the same, but on the inside, it was just like war. I'm not like that anymore. I really am just like, yeah, it probably could be better. Sometimes I pursue that, sometimes I don't. Nah, I like it. Sater, stop trying to take the piss, Bunny. I say with fully understanding how to use that saying. And Bunny just says, perfectly, harumph. Very bah humbug. I love it. You guys are great. I think this community is impressive for a lot of reasons, but one of them is this kind of stuff. Like no one takes anything too sideways. I love that. In the age of taking everything sideways, you know what I mean? And when in doubt, just be like, oh, is that fine? Or was that too much? I had a conversation with Sean's on that. I think it was about the fox. I can't remember. I was like, legit, I was like, stop it. It's good enough. Or I'm not done, or something like that. And they were like, oh, okay. No problem. My bad. Y'all are super cool. Now say something else silly so I can be mean to you again. Alright, this is looking really good. I want to spend a little bit of extra time and love on it because it's just freaking cool, you know? Alrighty. Model is going to fit on the base, something like this. We'll move the rock to the foot, not the model to the rock. This is just like the closed thing. You need to know what's going to win, as I frequently say. Rock. Yeah, she's not like that anymore. Stop it. Some days are harder than others. That's why, like on a real note, that's why I give my students the option to have like different levels of critique, because they're, even though art, you can like objectively review art for improvement and blah, blah, blah. There's something about it that's like, it's very personal. It can feel very, it's easy to be defensive with art, you know? Even when you're trying to learn, it still doesn't feel good when someone critiques your work, you know? And I know that, and that makes art not fun to learn sometimes. And then eventually you make enough art that, I don't know if it's because you stop being as attached to it or you just become less defensive. I don't know what it is, but at some point you do get over that. I definitely did. It took me a little longer though, because I didn't go to art school or anything like that. So I didn't have like, I've never had my work like professionally critiqued, you know? All right, foot is grabbing the rock. We have been stabilized. We're gonna blend up some of these joints here where they kind of caved in on themselves. I like using move and back face mask to bring those together. Beautiful. And then I forgot about the cape. No capes. Except actually, yes, cape. All right, there it is. Hey, Maniac. Hey, how do you know how thick to make the bowstring? My new favorite saying I've come up with is splitishin, or bisect to bicep. So we know legs print, right? This bowstring, shut up, Eloa. Anyway, take a leg. We know that legs are going to print. If you cut it in half, you generally don't want things getting much skinnier than that when it comes to 3D printing. Does that make sense? So this distance. This is especially thin because it's a bird leg. And the same thing goes with like whatchamacallit, weapons as well. If you're like, oh god, it's so chunky, I hate it, what you can do, because I have answers for everything. Where is the rest of your body? What you can do, like on a serious note, is pinch this piece to look the way that you want to behave. So see how I'm making that like nice and skinny, something like that, whatever. That's gonna have trouble printing, but what you do is you just compromise on another side. Grab move and back face mask, flip it on the back side like this, and that's where you can add a bunch of that material. So you can kind of get the illusion of it being nice and skinny, okay? With it not being terribly fragile. Again, this is really pushing it, honestly. But yeah, you got some trade-offs that way. Again, also, Eloa coming at me today. See, doesn't look that chunky when printed. It actually looks quite nice. Yeah, steel does not stretch. This is true. I mean, yes and no. Imagine stringing a bow with a guitar string. Eloa says, I think this bird could use one of their pointy head feathers as the arrows and pluck one of the other to reload their bow. Like, as the fletching, right? Is that what it's called? That'd be really cool. Maniacs has great tips. I am glad that was helpful. You're very, very welcome. I like that, Bunny. Man, why don't they make real bows with steel cables? Eloa says bow won't print too thin. Eloa, what are you doing right now? It's like we were like, we bonded yesterday, we did a fun event stream, and now you're like, you know what? Torben's not here, Mini Blaze isn't here. Actually, Torben was fine. Mini Blaze was being crunchy though. And you're like, I gotta take up the mantle. It's obviously not coming back. Pick a different job. Oh my god, I'm not like that anymore. Also, me on the inside. My nose isn't quite that big. Did you start posing this stream? I did not. This was posed in Character Creator 4. I can show you guys how to pose this really quickly though. I'm gonna get nothing done today. No, I am gonna get stuff done today. Queue up questions and then I will do things. But I can't like literally pose this model to this accuracy and niceness, but I can show you how to do this in ZBrush for sure. And it would not be like a half-hour ordeal. I could like broad strokes show you techniques in like, I would say 5 to 10 minutes. So if you want that, let me know. I probably won't do it until happy hour, but I can do it. And I'd happily do it. John says, does it matter the resolution of the printer for how small you can make it? Printers are great resolution-wise now. They're all pretty fancy. With models, I tend to have my entire character decimated to around 200,000 points. Just don't be careful if you're going to get too low. If it looks low poly in ZBrush, it might look low poly when printed. You just don't want to print something that's like 1,000,000 points. You get me? You can. You absolutely can. It just takes forever to slice. And like, what does that mean? Slicing is when you prepare it for 3D printing. Oh, I hate armpits. There's like a hole. We're gonna smooth this. Come here. Why are you so all over the place? Stop it. I'm gonna use my trim dynamic brush to flatten these planes a little bit. Again, we are not making a super sexy armpit. We are making a get her done armpit. What does an armpit look like? That's right. I have like really swollen lymph nodes in my armpit. I always have. I've had to check my doctor. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyway. Yeah, that's good enough. There's like a line here and here. Seriously though, if you are a artist and you are learning and want to learn quickly, put a mirror seriously, by your workstation and like do the pose, like do the things. I cannot stress that enough. That has been so helpful for me. This bird has no muscle. Okay, there we go. That's fine. Jersey Jeff is here. Okay, now make him a capybara. Hello and welcome, by the way. And I have never done a capybara animal humanoid character. My patrons are lacking. Also, if you guys seriously like do have questions for me, because we're chatting quite a bit now, make sure to put at M3DM. Just Single says, Mia, my father is an art teacher. Would be fun to be critiqued casually. His expertise is in 2D/graphic design and business, but you mentioned wanting to learn 2D and he loves being helpful. Probably not on stream though. Yeah, I'll probably take you up on that actually, like for 2D art, because I would love that. I'll let you know, especially for 2D. Jersey Jeff said, ooh, that sounds like an opportunity. It sure does. I don't know if I recognize your name. We've had a lot of Jeffs. I don't know if you're actually brand new or not. Either way, hello, welcome. But yeah, everything I make on here is a Patreon request. So straight up, if you did want to request something, it's $15 a month to put in a request, but you also get access to all my 3D printable models. All of them. There's over 1,000 now. Yeah, I would love to do just like a little dude. Oh, that'd be so fun. Capybaras are so goofy. Alrighty. Armpits. Those are too nice of armpits for this bird, okay? It's not that kind of model. Great chat today. Oops, I clicked on a button I didn't mean to. What's up? Alright, we are now going to address the bird floof spike moment. I'm going to use move and backface mask to make this easier to 3D print. It would 3D print as is, but why not make it more substantial? So I'm going to go to the base of this and add material going towards the inside of the head. Thanks for that picture of you, Satyr. I love the jokes today. Oh god. So I've pretty much doubled the thickness of these without getting rid of like the elegance of the model. I'm also going to use move topological and add a little bit more randomness to the spikes themselves. They're not spikes, they're feathers. I need to stop calling them spikes, or otherwise I will make them look like spikes. I will say, after printing so many of my minis on FDM, I'm like, damn, these are so much more printable even than I thought. Like, I print all my stuff on resin as it is, but I wasn't as confident when people asked if they could print on FDM. I'm like, sure, if you know what you're doing. And now I'm like, oh yeah, you can do it. That's what our whole Kickstarter was about, literally. Bunny says, man, you should do a Sylvanian families-inspired town of animal folk, Mia. I'd love that. Chicken says, I do have a question. How long did it take for you to model your horse, miss? I haven't yet. The Tavern Pet took like 20 minutes. Making the horse, I didn't do it from scratch. Oh no, I guess I did. I did this one from scratch. The Nucklevy. Don't come at me. You can't talk. It takes me probably like 3 to 4 hours to do a really good horse. Eloa, Mia, can you please extend their nose down like Squidward, please, for the peasants? Sure, just don't let me forget to fix it before I export this stupid thing. Like this, I do like that as well. It's just not what Secretary Bird looks like. Also, if you're talking to me in the chat and I'm ignoring you, I'm not. You just need to put at M3DM, that little at circle sign thing. That's not called an ampersand. I don't know what it's called. It puts my name in orange so I can see it. Otherwise, it's just up to me to see if I happen to read your comment. Or just don't, and then feel like I'm ignoring you personally. That's fine. Some people like problems. That's fine. All right, this model is finished. Oh, this happens all the time. So like I'm clicking and rotating and the model is like spinning around like chaotically. Like the pivot point is somewhere like here. If you want to fix that, just hold down Command, mask a little like dot at the center of your model, then hold down Command again, click and drag to clear the mask. And now it will actually pivot in the center of your model and it will move not stupid. I say that tip all the time and I'll never stop because that drove me crazy for so freaking long. Oh, on a super random side note, I know Ray hasn't been around in a while. I checked on Ray. Ray is fine. Ray is having a sleepy summer. I do check on irregulars though, especially if they're mentorship students. I feel like it's not as weird if I'm like, hey, where are you? Are you okay? Need to pull that back a little bit. Just a little bit. This needs to be straight. Oh, I did that dumb bow demonstration, then I didn't fix it. Damn it, Eloa, you made fun of my bow. And then I fixed it in a way that I didn't actually want to. Alright, let me fix it the other way. Alright, move polygroups back face mask. We're going to re-chunk the bowstring. Oh, not by that much. Just a little bit. How about I isolate just the bowstring so ZBrush doesn't have a meltdown? Very good. When in doubt, adding tapers instead of uniformly, got it. Instead of consistently adding thickness throughout the whole thing, you can add little tapers, and that also does a pretty good job. Satyr, I read your tag. Stop it. Hey, it's Taylor. Just opened the stream and I see a shirtless man. Yeah, it's Satyr. We were talking about armpits, and then Satyr found like the sexiest armpit reference possible for no good reason. Oh, it's very helpful. Yeah, Satyr says, quick and dirty tip for anyone might find it helpful. When you're trying to figure out how muscles terminate into each other, so like how they weave together, you can lace your fingers together. They interweave like that. Okay. Yep. Yep. All right, I'm now going to smush the model a little bit because this shoulder kind of dropped visually, even though it wasn't posed like that. I did something. There we go, because this should be like on the same plane. Okay, we're not gonna get too into the weeds on it. I have to say it out loud. It's not for you, it's for me. Otherwise, I will work on this all day. All right, it's done. John says, Mia, is there a way to create a toggle for backface mask? Yeah, absolutely. Right here. Button. So if you go to brush, auto masking, it's in front of me. I can't find it. Where the heck is it? There it is. Auto masking, backface mask. It is a button. I know you can adjust like the intensity or the curve. Just click this button. So I've got mapped in custom UI. And then John also says, again, chat, sorry for the newbie questions. No apologizing for asking questions. Seriously. It's not even that's not even like a newbie question. A newbie question is like how to save a file. Plenty of people don't know what backface mask even does. So, very good. Satyr. Oh, so helpful reference isn't a good reason anymore. Noted. Why am I and all the mods being so spicy with each other? I don't know why, but it's bringing me joy. It really is. Okay, Eloa says me. I have a question. After finishing your mod yesterday, how much... You're such an ass. I'm gonna ban Eloa. Alright, our mod, we're gonna be down to a mod. How do I put you in timeout? There we go. You can't talk for 5 minutes. It's even worse that I read it like so seriously. I read like trashy fantasy, romantasy books, and Eloa will never let it down, and they will sneak in questions about it on stream all the time. So yeah, they're banned just for right now. I knew it was gonna happen. It's okay. They're not really banned, and they can just complain in my Discord. Alright, we're gonna decimate this down to about 500,000 points. I know Eloa is just cackling over there. I can feel it. There they are. No! Yeah, this is Eloa just complaining about it. What did I say? I knew they would go to Discord and complain about there. Alright, this model's being decimated. What does that mean? So this was currently almost 4 million points, and that's just all the points of the polygons that stitch the model together. Because if I zoom into this model, you'll see a bunch of polys that make up the model, right? Think of like a box, a cardboard box. You can see all those different faces. Those are the different polygons that make up a box. How many are there? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, so I'm bringing that down from 4 million points, which is really, really dense and slow to slice, all the way down to 500,000 points. Once I have it like that, I'm going to remesh it so there's no holes or gaps or weirdness. Again, your printer can handle a lot, unless it's like actually hollow. It's probably fine. But I do this as a living professionally, so I like to deliver very squeaky clean products. Bunny says, I do work in a sci-fi/fantasy department of a bookshop. Do you actually want romantasy suggestions? And I assume asking Eloa because I was banishing them. So I'm currently reading the like Rainfallen series, and there's like no smut in this. I feel like it could do with a little bit more. But anyway, it's actually a really good book. The first one is called Salt in the Wound. It's fantastic. It's kind of like Arthurian, dystopian. It's very, very good. There is 2 books called Salt in the Wound. One of them actually is a romantasy smut book, which is hysterical by coincidence. And the other one's written by Benjamin Avery or something. That's what I'm talking about. The one by Benjamin, not the one by Sophia. Just to be clear. I'm on the second book right now, which is The Way of Thistle or something. Very, very good. Also, that weird noise in the background is my dog snoring, just in case you're like, what is that? He is really asleep. Alright, this claw is really thin and flimsy, and it's kind of close to touching this bowstring. Kind of not. Kind of trying to find a good in-between. God, it feels so quiet with Eloa being banned in my own chat. Eloa is one of the mods, in case you guys are just tuning in, like what's going on. My mods and I make up drama between each other because this community is so chill, which is great. That's gonna age like milk. Anyway, right now we are post-processing this for 3D printing. All the minis that I make here and characters are requests on Patreon, and yeah, that's seriously my full-time job. I know. Pretty awesome. I felt very lucky. Jersey Jeff, 1 out of 10. Needs more smut. I like you. You fit in. Good peasant. Yeah, oh my god, Eloa said, it's okay, Bunny. She kept talking about books she really enjoyed, Salt in the Wound, and when she suggested it and told us to read the title, we looked it up, and it was literally a smut book, live on stream. Again, the odds of this, the coincidence was crazy. There are 2 books in the fantasy genre called Salt in the Wound. One of them happens to be spicy, and one of them is not. And I was actually talking about the not spicy one. To be clear, I totally read both. I'm not like I do read both. But this specific instance, I was recommending the like hard fantasy book, not the ridiculous one. Okay. This looks good. Good job, me. Birdman. Woman. Again, I find 200,000 points is a pretty good spot to stay at. To make sure it's not too low resolution, I zoom in a lot. What is this weird? What is going on here? Now I'm always on the lookout for weird topology nonsense. Do you see this? See how it's like really dense right there, but nowhere else? That's usually a sign that you've got something funky going on. If it's a smooth surface like this, just polygroup, delete, and close holes. Bam. Like, that's just the easiest way. If it's super detailed, you'll need to deal with that later. Anyway, I like to zoom in super large because my tablet is gigantic. So if the model looks high res enough, when it's like the size of my entire hand, I know it's gonna look super high res when it's this big. Make sense? It's like a foolproof way of doing it. Seder, I know when I said that like that, I'm like, why did I say it like that? Y'all did not give me a break. Okay. Eloa says, I talk the whole time on stream. I cannot be held accountable to everything that I say. Anyway, Eloa says, on that note, that's what you come back and say? No. Back to banished. I'm getting smarter. I'm not reading your comments right away. Sean says, wow, I really messed YouTube up. For some reason, I was playing the stream at 3/4 speed. That is funny. I'm sure you know something was wrong because I talk fast enough to maybe it just sounded normal then. I used to have a really bad habit of talking way too fast when I was younger, but I think I've mostly broken that habit. Micah says, to be honest, there are a lot of books in every genre with overlapping titles. I know, it was just so funny that like it was exactly what I said it wasn't, and there was a book that existed that was that. You are correct, though. I'm so excited to see what dumb comment Eloa comes back with. Also, where is Reaper? We have been Reaper-less for so long. That's what it feels like anyway. She like has a job or something now. Ridiculous. Wow, the back of the head is completely detailless. Man, I'm just gonna rough up this texture a little bit. Just so it's not perfectly smooth. There we go. And now we're gonna clean up this other pose, and because I took so freaking long to get that first one done, we're gonna do this actually somewhat quickly. And to be clear, I do work quickly. I'm not saying that if you take longer to do what I'm doing, you're slow. Again, I set a goal and I didn't meet it at all. Seder says, to clip that, Reaper needs proof that she's wanted here. Does she? Oh my god. Has there been any doubt about that? I'll go like full mom mode and I don't do that. I will muster every non-scrap of maternal instinct that I have. But yeah, that's nonsense. If there's any truth to that at all, that's stupid. Me being loving. I'm all like, well, she's stupid. Again, I didn't say there was a lot of maternal instinct. Anyway, it's been a lovely day in the tavern. I'm really excited for that student review we got coming up with John. Looking good. Alright, this one's a lot easier to clean up, so I actually don't mind that I was so slow on the other one. I can't say to Mia is banning me and my prophecy. Then be well behaved, and I won't have to ban you. I'm just smiling and thinking to myself, like, again, streaming is not my job. My job is to make 3D printable models. I share them on Patreon, I sell them on Kickstarter, right? Streaming has started to make some money on the side, but for the most part, it's just a fun thing that I do with y'all. And I will say, again, I'm like, I can't believe that this hasn't always been, like, part of what I do, because it's so much fun. John says, yep, still here. Very good. Are you working on anything right now, John? Or are you just kind of hanging out, enjoying the vibes? Okay, because I didn't give you a new assignment. Speaking of, John, we're going to be moving you into project work so you can start kind of roughly thinking about... Or no, we said we were going to move you through fundamentals. After seeing your assignment, I feel like they wouldn't help you. No, we will. I'll put you through fundamentals as if you're a brand new beginner. But instead of just watching the beginner assignment video, you're going to watch just all of them. Oops, sorry. And then we'll work from there, and then I'll move you into project work. I could put you into project work now, but you have a really good attitude for learning, so I did the same thing with Grimnir, who also has a really good attitude for learning, and they're more advanced of a sculptor, just like you are. And they actually learned quite a bit, which made me very happy. I have noticed consistently my students that join my program that are more skilled, like objectively, they can just make higher, like a more polished art. They're always the ones that are most willing to learn from the very beginning against that they're new. I've had like brand new beginners that fight me on learning like navigation. And I'm like, you don't know how to move your model. They're like, I know, but I just want to learn how to sculpt fur. I'm like, no. And John's at work. That also makes sense. I guess you must have a real job too. That's fair. A lot of y'all watch me when you're at work, which I think is super fun. I think Sater's also at work. I don't know. Sater does a million different things. It was recently that Sater was like, I was going through the list of things that one of my mods, Sater, does. I'm like, you're like at full-time at school and you have a kid or something. And he's like, yeah, I had a full-time job. I was like, no, you cannot pick all three. That doesn't make any sense. Eloa says, good news, guys. Upon return from my most recent ban, I am fully reformed. I don't believe you. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. Just like, well, I too am at work, typically. Like, I feel like the way that I stream and the timing is a little chaotic. I wonder if there would be like a better time that I'm supposed to stream. Doesn't mean that I'll do it. But I don't necessarily have to stream in the middle of the day. I feel like this works out though, for most of y'all. I think it was actually Reaper recently that was like, you should stream later so I don't always miss it. I can't believe that library didn't hire her. Stupid. If she wasn't volunteering, I would have 100% sent an anonymous angry letter. Very boring retribution, but it's something. Sure, fully reformed. Yeah, Sean's knows. Eloa says, Mia, a late night tavern shift is the ultimate goal. It's more possible. So one of my housemates is now working graveyard shifts, and they're doing it because they're super tough, but they are not like they get up early, like they're like a 6 a.m. kind of person, like just naturally. So that means that Ricky and I have been getting up earlier and earlier because, again, like we live here, but like we're guests, you know, in some ways. So I want to make sure I'm not making a bunch of noise because my default state is, in fact, very nocturnal. But now that she goes to work at 6 at night and gets home at 6 in the morning. So it's actually been beneficial for us to be a little noisier because it helps keep her up. So who knows? Maybe I'll have later streams. Again, I'm not actually planning on changing anything right now. I'm just talking. I do not want to stream at 6 in the morning. Or 6 at night. I don't even know when the ideal stream time would be. Y'all are all over the world, not even the country, all over the world. I don't think there would be a time that would fit well for everyone. I think any other time would be more helpful for RB, though. They're in India, so I think when they're watching here, it's like 2 in the morning over there. I told you the fingernail details are worth it. Isn't that cool? Man, my dog sounds like death. Can you guys see him? No, he's just a blob. A little pink or tan. What is that color? Peach? That's my dog. We wrapped him up when he was a puppy like once to sleep, and he loved it. And literally ever since, he tucks himself in. Sometimes he needs help. He's not great at doing it, honestly. He'll just roll the blanket around until he gets upset and he quits, and then he goes and he sits at the base of one of our chairs and just looks at us. Yeah, the current time catches the morning for West Coast and evening for Europe. This is true. That's true, but stream later. Brits ain't gonna make it at all. Ain't. Yeah, no, I'm not changing anything. Oh, Chicken's also in India. Okay, well then we got 2 then. You and RB Gaming. Ha! RB Gaming is either here every day for the entire stream or not at all. And there's no in between. So I don't know if you've met RB yet. They're also one of my students. But they're more like than that. They're 2. They're also like I think they're a fancy supporter level on the YouTube channel, and just like generally just been super cool and around for a long time supporting my work. They already like make money as a 3D artist and all that kind of good stuff. They just join my mentorship program mostly to like push their skills out a little bit more, but mostly to show support. Sader said I'd rather start earlier personally. I usually start earlier than today. This is definitely the latest I will ever start is 1:30 my time. All right, this looks pretty good. Chicken is chickening. Man, I've sculpted so many damn birds recently. This release on Patreon was like all chickens. Kind of birded out, I think. I did a chicken musketeer, I did a rooster, a hen, both of them on the same base, and then a secretary birdfolk ranger. This one was definitely the most difficult. I was surprised at how easy and fun the chicken musketeer was. That model just came together like it was meant to be. And then Chicken says, my college starts at 7 a.m., so I usually miss the stream, but since my exams are over, I'm on vacation. Oh yeah, that's right. Confetti for free, por favor. We vacation. Yeah. Maniac says, I feel like you should choose a time where it suits you. Yeah, that's what I currently do. Regardless of time zones. If you were sleepy, the stream quality would suffer. That's true. Don't stress about it. If they miss it, there's always VOD. That's very true. You're right. And that's how I currently do it. Though I have had sleepy streams before, and they were surprisingly good still. But you're right, if I was just like legit, like half asleep, that wouldn't be any good. Now, if I'm that tired, I just don't stream at all. Crazy. Work-life balance? Who this? What is that? What is this? What is this? Blue interloper. Go away. So, mesh errors like this one seems to be conveniently polygrouped, which is funny. You usually can't smooth these away unless you change your min connected points on your ZBrush modifier to 1. By default, it's set to 3, which means that when you try to smooth something like this away, it will just mock your authority and not do anything. Again, if you want to fix that, go to Brush, ZBrush modifiers, and change min connected points. Come here. Come here. From 3 to 1. That's why I have it mapped on my custom UI. Sayer says, my headcanon for this character has become that if they stop to stand anywhere, they must have 1 foot on a rock. Yes. Tactical rock. Yes, bunny. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Jersey Jeff said, first time here. YouTube told me to stop in. Wasn't disappointed. I'm watching from Blue Ridge, Georgia. All right. Welcome. I'm in East Tennessee, so I'm not too far from you. Yeah, a lot of y'all just kind of stumble across the channel randomly, which I love. And you're all very, very welcome to hang out in our Discord as well. We're pretty fun, if I do say so myself. If you have literally any interest in 3D modeling, tabletop games, or 3D printing, you're going to have fun there. And if you're not having fun, complain to Eloa about it. Eloa is our quality assurance manager. Eloa, can you imagine if I made you deal with like peasant complaints? All right, this is done. Also, I feel like it's worth noting if it's your first time here, Jersey, I don't normally just work on like a model, like cleaning it up like this, but usually start a brand new model every stream. Just today I had 2 that kind of built up and I was like, let's knock these out. But yeah. Oh, I like that too. Imagine they found this little shiny rock and they take it with them everywhere. All right, looking pretty good. Almost done with this. I said I was going to work on or post-process the Bandit Fighter as well. I might do that off stream because, goodness, I'm terribly slow at doing this on stream, which is funny because I'm creating a brand new character. I like fly through it. Anyway, we're gonna move on to happy hour and then I'll review some of my student work. Very excited. This is a tricky character to get right. Very happy with it. Eloa says, Mia, what would my title be if everyone was employed at the M3DM Foundation? Oh, goodness, I'm not even sure. I'm a big fan of alliteration, but I can't think of anything that starts with an E other than employee, which is extremely boring. Eloa employee has absolutely no interest to it at all. It's underwhelming in a way that's also kind of funny. You're just the Eloa employee. Yeah. And then Jersey says, very relaxing. I'm a career product designer and listening while working and on interaction and animation. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Chicken says, Mia, do you also review old work, miss? I sure do. You're welcome to send stuff in. Executive. Oh my god, Micah was right there. Or executive employee. It makes no sense. How did I miss executive? That's because that's me. If anything. I have not had the knife brush crash in so long. It's been really wonderful. The Eloa Manager. Okay. Punny. I like it. Executive Community Manager and Lore Pumper. I'll take it. Yeah, that's fair. Satyr. It's not what they meant. Menace. I don't know, sometimes you guys act like the crazy people that would stand outside the building. They don't actually work there, but tell everyone they work there. What's the title for that? And then Chicken asks, anyone in the chat who is a character / creature artist or related? Definitely Eloa. And then Satyr does have like a legit background in art too. I know they're not doing 3D stuff right now. I mean, literally all my mods fit that description actually, which makes sense. Satyr, both. All right, that base fits there nicely. Oh, I didn't proportion these yet. Okay, so quick note about scaling when it comes to tabletop minis. So I'd create things in 28 millimeter scale. What does that mean? That means 28 millimeters from foot to eye level will roughly correspond to like a 6 foot tall person. I would say man, I guess it's human, doesn't matter. But that's the scaling. So if it's 32 millimeters, that means 32 millimeters from foot to eye level. Now, this gets complicated because what if they're not standing up perfectly straight? What if they're hunched over or whatever? So just keep that in mind. I have a model that I already have pre-measured that I bring to this scene. What's also really important is that your base is exactly 25 millimeters. That's gonna be true pretty much regardless whether it is 28 millimeter scale or 32, because the base size is going to what dictates the creature size in games like D&D. So a 25 millimeter base is standard for a medium creature. Technically, like tiny and small, I think are on like a 15 millimeter base, but those are so hard to pick up. I still put them on 25 millimeter, but once I get into larger creatures, you double the base size, go up another size class. So to go from like medium to large, you take your 25 millimeter base and double it, so it's 50. So the next class up, again, would be 100 millimeter base. Well, bam, you guys know more about scaling. Shrinking this down because this character here is a true scale already. Gotta scoot this as close as possible. Again, we have a weird Birdfolk here. Notice that they're kind of the same height right now, but the head is very small compared to her head. I don't want to go much smaller than this. She's already an elf and quite dainty. So I don't mind if this character is a bit taller, especially because it's a bird animal folk. We can break some rules here. Ooh, I like that. Jersey says the loquacious lurking loiterer. Am I saying that right? Loquacious. I definitely knew what that word meant because that was like, that's like an SAT prep question word. I freaking love that. Loquacious. What's the definition about that? Isn't that like talking a lot? No. Oh yes, tending to talk a great deal. Talkative. Haha. Loquacious. Okay. Cool. I always like learning new stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Mia would definitely be CEO and Ricky COO, and probably CTO. Is that Chief Technical Officer? Though Mia seems tech literate enough too. Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely like, Ricky and I have like different strengths and stuff. When it comes to like computer stuff, I used to be way better at it than Ricky, but he's learned tons. So I think we're about the same now. Why did you check the pronunciation, Mia? Afraid it was French and you butchered again. Oh my god, what was it? Courgette. Courgette. No, I just like looking at words. I will look up definitions of words that are super boring even just to like know what it actually is. Like birds, like animal. Just straight just animal. I'm like, does it mean like a certain like taxonomy or does it mean like just not human? Like, I don't know. I like knowing little details. Good shot. It was one of the peasants that hangs out here, just lingual. He mentioned that him and his wife have this like fun word jar. So instead of like a swear jar, they like write down just like fun words to come across, which I think is just the cutest thing ever. All right, that's about the scale that I like. I can go ahead and delete this. And the last thing that I do is bring it into a super old software called Mesh Mixer. It used to be supported by Autodesk. It is not any longer, but it still works just fine. I like to use it instead of ZBrush for mesh errors because it is much more vocal and mad about mesh errors. It will like draw like a big old angry red box around them. You can do this in ZBrush too by doing a Boolean operation and then show issues. But I do like putting models through multiple 3D softwares because they all complain about different things. I'm already certain that this would 3D print no problem. It's just a lot of people that support my work, it tends to be their first interaction with 3D printing. So if they load in a model and the first thing it does is tells them there's a bunch of errors, they freak out, even though it's fine. So I like to do my due diligence and make sure they're as clean as possible, even though there's not really an issue about 3D printing. Litchi is the bane of my existence. Litchi will complain about a sphere, I swear. Litchi is just a 3D printing software. All right, this is almost done here. I'm gonna go on break soon for about 10 to 15 minutes. I might be a 5-minute break. I'm just gonna make coffee and come back. Now I find out Mia can't pronounce litchi either. Oh my god, litchi, lychee, litchi. How else can I say that? Lawai, lawai, lawaichi. I will find different ways to pronounce it. Careful. Even though I do like learning things, there comes a point where I'm also like, now I'm just going to be spiteful about it. Why are these flipped the wrong way? Oh, that's okay. I know I did wrong. Not a big deal at all. Let's go over here, rotate 90. Wucha. And you could do this in any slicer too. All right, these birds are kind of gigantic. Are they too big? No. Now we're good. Lychee. Lychee and litchi is not that different. Also, the stupid word anyway, that I'm pretty sure is made up. Maybe I should convince her to pronounce it louche. Ooh, that's ridiculous. I like it. Careful, that's what I'll say from now on. All right, we're going to export this. This is going to be our Secretary Birdfolk Ranger. Casual. Pretty much all my models have a casual and action pose. I used to call it like running, jumping, sitting, and then I was like, wow, that's really tricky to search. So I find it easier if you go to like my library and just type in casual, you get a bunch of chill poses, type in action, you get a bunch of really crazy poses. It's a fruit. The heck, it's a lychee fruit. Oh my god, it's a fruit. I have never seen that in my life. And I'm quite fruit competent, if I do say so myself. I'm quite a fruit enjoyer, connoisseur. Yeah, this isn't real. Seder just populated all of Google right now instantly. Yeah, no. It's not real. Good try, guys. Good effort. Impressive. Also, that hurts when I was so confident, like, that's not even a real word. Oh my god. Sao Paulo. Sao Paul. I still don't know how to say it. Again, like, why would I know how to say it? Like, I'm happy to learn them, for sure. Thank you, Just Lingual. That was helpful. And it draws on the complexity of it, for sure. That sounded really dry and sarcastic. It wasn't. I actually do mean that. Like, it was actually helpful. This is the problem with having a dry sense of humor, is I have to, like, be really, really, really dry now when I'm like, no, I'm being serious. Sao Paulo? Sao Paulo? Sao Paulo. Yeah, it wasn't that far off. That's so true, Seder. Just Lingual says, I love how much this is a uniting factor for the peasants. It really is. God, you guys are... This isn't very peasant-y behavior. The way you guys go about it, yes, but the pinky... It's a little pinkies up. I think you guys just like seeing me flustered and like... I'm trying. Alright, let's go with more of a bluish... No, let's go with like a light green. Just think it's nice. Zoom in. Oh look, content. And then I'm going to bring up my Google Drive, get these uploaded, and we're all set. Again, take a short break here to make some coffee. I encourage y'all to grab a break. Most of you guys are at work too, so like make sure you get up, stretch, you know, get some water. I think it was yesterday. My husband realized, he's like, I haven't drank any water in like days. He straight up drank like 5 of these in the course of an hour. Oh god, peasants revolt. Beautiful. Oh, and like fun fact, I talk about my stupid website thing all the time. This is what I'm doing. This is why it's taking so long. So I had to use Google Scripts and write a bunch of code to get this to populate correctly. And like, y'all, there's 1,000. And this works now. If I run my script, it will make post in, where are my bestiary types for that? Okay, no, that's fine. Anyway, sorry, immediately panicking. It will auto-populate post in WordPress, which I'm really proud of. This was a huge pain in the ass. When did I make all these models? So, yes, some of them are missing renders, but that's, I know that. It wasn't possible for that to be correct. But anyway, this is just a piece of the nonsense I've been working on. But it's cool, because now if I go to the bottom here, and we made some new models, right, today, all I'll need to do is literally just type in, like, oh, like, Secretary Birdfolk or whatever, blah, 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 and just type all these in, and then I click go on the script, and it auto-populates on WordPress. Very, very excited about it. Anyway, back to uploading this model. And just in case anyone's like, oh, cool, you can code. No, I cannot. I can just read code and I can complain and make AI write code for me and read through it and be like, this is stupid. Use this instead. Do this instead. But like actually write it correctly with like right syntax and stuff. No, I cannot do that. I will let you guys know about cool things I can do, but I will never overrepresent what I can't do. Right now, I'm working on getting my WordPress site to like send requests it's like something to do with Patreon's API and be like, hey, to pretty much like if donation money level is this, allow access to this. And I'm trying to figure that out without making it resend the request for every single model. So I'm working on that right now. Micah says, I mean, a lot of coding is just looking at reference documents and pasting script. You're right. That's true. I don't know. I don't want to like overrepresent a skill that I have because I don't think I don't know. I'm aware of how much I don't know. Does that make sense? So I would never tell someone I can code. This is me working on the website. Stop. Oh, that did make me laugh. Somewhere along the line of streaming, I developed a sense of humor. I'm telling you guys, I used to take myself so seriously. Truly. I don't think I was easily like offended. It wasn't that way. I was just like sensitive. But I don't know, it's hard to put into words. I used to be the kind of person that would say nothing essentially for fear of saying something controversial or shitty. Does that make sense? Which I found is a really boring way to live. And it doesn't mean be rude. I hate people that are like, oh, I'm just brutally honest. I'm like, no, you're just a jerk. You're just a jerk. There's a happy in between. I'm almost 30 and I finally have found a happy medium, I think. Cheers. All right, y'all. I'm going to go take a quick break here, grab some coffee. We'll come back, and I'm going to review 2 of my students' work. It's going to be great. So yeah, it's 3:16 right now Eastern time. I'll be back by 3:30 at the absolute latest. And again, with a fresh coffee and lots of cool artwork to review. So I'll see you guys in a bit. I encourage y'all to get up, stretch, grab a drink. See you in a bit. Hey y'all, welcome to happy hour. I have another coffee. Very carefully bringing it over. There we go. Hair has been fluffed. It's a whole routine having curly hair. Oh my god. Anyway, yay. And we got 2 code red reviews today, which essentially just means really intense critiques of my student work. And they pick what level they want. So if you're like, you're being so mean to them, they literally asked for this. All right. Oh, good. Taylor got some coffee too. Beautiful. Can both enjoy some coffee. All right. Let's get. Poof. I restart my playlist. Let's go with See You Ghibli. Perfect. All right. Is John here? If not, I will send them a timestamp before I start reviewing their work. I'm in no rush. I'm gonna give him a second to respond. There's a 20-second delay as is between the stream and what's actually happening. Yeah, Eloa's only been chat banned twice today. I can tell when the weather is a little better over there because Eloa is not half asleep. All right, let me get my stuff up. Chicken's here. Chicken's like, I'm ready for my review. We're gonna start with Oh, John is here. Excellent. John says, okay, put my seatbelt on now. Beautiful. All right. Here is John's work that we were reviewing today. And this is inspired by Vulture from Spider-Man, which I think I grabbed a screenshot of as well. Let me organize this. It's not just a mess. There it is. Vulture. That's like what this is based on. All right. Let me pause any ads. Eat this time. All right. My first like roast review, kind of a joke, is I gave you a create bad assignment, which is like to sketch and have fun. And I feel like you did not do that. You grabbed a reference and made something awesome. This is super good. When I have other students, I say create bad. This is not what I mean. This is excellent. All right. Moving on. Real review now. What can we do to improve this? Again, so your inspiration here is Vulture. What a fun character here. And I immediately want to like start drawing attention to things you could have pushed more, okay? So I picked this image on purpose. I know it's a little hard to see his face, but it really draws attention to what's interesting about it. One, we have some sun, some age spots here that would have made your poly paint a lot more interesting. And then 2, this concavity on the side of the head. So as people get older, they lose more and more fat on their face, okay? So that's why, like, it's a thing. People talk about getting Botox and get older. Another big thing is filler. And spots to get filler is, like, right here at your temples and then at your cheeks, which is funny because buccal fat removal is a thing, too. Anyway, it's like you remove all of the stuff from your face when you're young, plastic surgery, and you put it all back in. Ridiculous. Anyway. I really love how far you push some of these proportions though. The chin, the nose, while you're not breaking any anatomical rules. For example, the eyes are at the same level as the ear. Stuff like that is making this really appealing and convincing. One of the best things you did in this model is the little bit of wrinkle of fat above the ear and below the head. I saw that and I was like, ooh, that's really good. Things you can push more. You got a couple areas here where you start doing what I like calling mumbling when you sculpt. You get like shy or something. Like we have this really delicious fold right here under the head. But then when we zoom in, that's not zoomed in. Why did we zoom out? Oh, Mac, I will fix this later. Anyway, when we look at the front view here by the eyebrows, So annoyed that's so small on the screen right now. Here, I fixed it. Let me zoom in here. I want to make sure it's nice and big. There we go. Right here, you have like the smallest little wrinkle right here. And that's what I want to draw attention to is like, I know it's a stylized sculpt, but you're missing some of the lines here that make the vulture look old. If you want to take a different approach to vulture, that's fine too. That's totally a valid argument. But vulture is quite old. That's what makes him interesting looking. So I am 29 years old, or no, 28. I'm turning 29 in December. And when I smile with my face, see all the wrinkles I have here? Maybe they're not super prominent yet because I'm not old enough, but I have crow's feet. I have big wrinkles right here and stuff. What I'm trying to say is this man has better skin than I do. And I'm in my 20s. So go ahead and push these lines. Don't mumble. Don't be shy. Really kind of bulk these up. And something you can do to really get that appearance looking nicer is the damn standard brush will be your best friend. Like you have these really nice lines here that you've defined the lips on. Just push them a little bit further. And I have some references here that you can admire and get kind of what I'm talking about here. This is the sculpt, that same subject matter, not a vulture, but old man, that did a really good job with this. So right here, we have that damn standard crease. And then by holding Option, that's Alt on Windows, you can build up that line. And then to do a little demo on that, because I know it's easier when you see it. Actually, let me just grab a head in ZBrush. I know they have them. Here's a default head. We just got some dude. Look at his funny mouth. Anyway. Take your damn standard brush. I like turning on lazy mouse. Like really dig that crease in. That's really exaggerated. A little less. Really dig that crease in and then hold down Option. Again, it's Alt on Windows and you can build up that secondary edge right here. And that's how you get this crease right there, which is very stylized and very confident. It's the opposite of what I say, like mumbling when you sculpt, because there's a little bit mumbling going here. Also, your concavity of this nasal labial fold is going the wrong way. You have it going like concave, but it really goes out. See? Out, not in. So like concave, convex, concave. Does that make sense? I love the eyebrows. They're really fun. I mean, you could even push them further if you want. Some of the texture in this gets a little bit lumpy. And when I say texturing, I'm sorry, I mean forms. Texturing is technically like poly paint. I mean like the actual forms get a little lumpy there, but I'm not too pressed about that. I would do more studying on the eye socket itself. I think you're showing that you don't have a super solid understanding of the way this eye socket is supposed to be structured. And to be clear, I didn't either until very recently. There's a book called Anatomy for Sculptors. If you have the extra dough, or if you want to steal it, it's on Scribd, I think, for free. It shouldn't be. But this site and all these books are absolutely fantastic. And I'm recommending this specifically because, is that too long of a link to put in my YouTube chat? Wow, that's stupid. Okay, I can't link it on YouTube because the link is so long. So I'm going to DM you instead with this link. Again, you don't need to buy this. I'm just saying like this is an example of a really high quality resource. And I'm going to search Anatomy for Sculptors Eye. I spelled that wrong. Here we go. Because the way they break this down is very interesting. And even though you're making a stylized sculpt, you still want to have these fundamentals apparent. So this top bit of like eye fat, I think you did a pretty good job with. Oop. But this lower part of the eyelid, you kind of lost a little bit. See what I mean? It kind of comes up like your eye looks more like this, as opposed to giving that some room to breathe. And especially because it's stylized and it's a vulture, you can really push that form because vultures look, I know this is the actual bird, but again, that's inspiration for the villain, right? They really have this crazy wrinkly eye, right? And so you can push that even further than the comic book design did. Again, this is really good. You did a great job. I'm talking about just pushing things even farther. That's probably enough for you to chew on for now. Do you have any questions? John said, I told you, no reference. You didn't use any references? I understand I said that in the create VAT assignment, but again, you did not do the assignment. So I'm teasing them right now because the assignment I gave them was right here. Create bad. It's about establishing healthy creative habits by creating a little something every single day. I said, do not try to make this look good. Alien blobs are recommended and encouraged. It's a time to experiment and have fun. And somehow they came up with this. And I'm like, that's good. Anyway, that's mostly a joke. I love that you got like excited about it and made something really cool. Any questions? Let me know. I think those are all the big things I want to talk about. And so what I mentioned, I was drawing attention to like this wrinkle right here. See, I'm doing it right now. See, even on me, and I'm young, it's very pronounced, like right here especially. So a single little line is just like not gonna happen. You're gonna like, it's really gonna deform that entire bit of that face, add some weight to it. And again, because he's old, you can look at really intense models that really exaggerate it and see what they did. I loved this one. I think this might have been done in Blender. I can't remember. This is very, very exaggerated, but it pushes those forms. It's also very stylized. You can see like all the delicious like crow's feet and like these eye bags. It's really fun. The way they did the eyes here really reminds me of a vulture, actually. Quite nice. If you have any questions, anything that you want me to go over or break down or just didn't click? Again, I'm very happy with what you did. My biggest complaint is that it's way, way too good. I think it's important that you, like I joke, but like seriously, I do think it's good practice to create bad and to get into that habit. Otherwise, if you always expect to create something incredible every time you go to make art, you're going to burn out, you know? And I don't want that for you. Just kind of skimming over this, see if there's anything else I want to touch on. So yeah, in summary, push your forms a little bit more, make them crispier. You can clean those edges up by using Damp Standard. And then don't be afraid to push some of these secondary forms more. Again, like this brow ridge. Don't let your under eye bag eat up the whole eye as much. I'm so glad I'm not reviewing this. I don't even know what to say. This is really good. John said, Mia, yes, I had no clue how to do feathers around his neck either. You know, it's fine. Stylized feathers are really tricky. I kind of did them today with this Secretary Birdfolk. Go ahead and bring that up. When you're dealing with something that's multiple pieces, like a bird feather shawl thing, that's usually a good sign that you really should just be using multiple subtools. Trying to constrict yourself to doing it all in one subtool is going to make your life quite difficult. So for this Birdfolk here, I kind of did these like really stylized, simple feathers that will just be a nice little bit of texture. I actually created these by using the default brush in ZBrush called Chisel Creature. That is the scale brush. And that's simply just lower the Z intensity and increase the focal shift. But yeah, really good work though. It was super fun to look at that. I love reviewing stylized work because it's a mixture of like following rules and pushing them to the breaking point. It's very cool. Just Lingual says, I need to learn to make more subtools and organize them. I think that's my next assignment for you. Yeah, that is after your Create Bad assignment, Just Lingual, who's also on this. That is the next assignment, is going over subtools and 3D Gizmo. You're very close. All right, John, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and move on to chicken. You're welcome to ask questions while I'm reviewing chicken. I'll get back to you in a moment. Very good. All right, so some context here for this model. This is portfolio piece that they did, and it is in the secondary form stage, which means no tertiary forms. What are tertiary forms? Think like super fine details, so individual strands of hair, skin pores, scale texture, that kind of stuff. So we're not going to be reviewing any of that. We're just reviewing the base forms here for chicken. Chicken. I love that. I'm going to delete these as I go. All right, here is the reference that they used, that they were inspired by. I believe this is something from Lord of the Rings. And then this is what they created. I have to sneeze. 1 second. Non-existent allergies are existing today. God, sorry. All right, again, I'm looking at this, seeing what you were going for here, and now I'm looking at this. All right, you asked for a code red, which means you're gonna get a very intense review. It's not about being mean, but just about being intense. like pumping myself up because even I get kind of shy at being rude. You took your reference and then dialed down all the things that make this cool. So what makes this so cool is the frame of this. You have this giant like U shape, and look at the placement of the head relative to the placement of like the the traps, the trapezius muscle right here, like those back muscles. His head effectively is on the center of his chest. Like if you took my head, can you imagine if my head was like here? It's like this. Like he's huge. God, I cannot even pretend to do that because it's so broken and cool. And then the spacing of just everything is wide. You kind of made almost a normal looking dude in some ways. Look at the relationship here to the head versus the shoulders. You see what I'm saying here? Because you moved his head up so much, I know you're not copying it, you're just doing a reference, but that is what makes him look like he's hulking and lumbering and whatnot. Also, your definition around these muscles is you're finding your forms, but they're not quite there yet. This deltoid muscle kind of just blurs into the bicep. There's a really interesting relationship between the, I'm getting stronger, but anyway, the bicep right here and the way that it connects to your deltoid. This kind of looks like a big triangle shape. And this on yours, it got really rounded, which happens when people are kind of hulked out. I get that. But let me find a reference to show you guys. Here we go. So see like this kind of tapering triangle shape, and then you have your bicep and the tricep on the back kind of pulls over the front. What you have right here instead, I saw there was like kind of like a made up little form here. There's like a little extra thing that you have there that doesn't exist. Don't do that. Don't make stuff up. Even when they're creatures, they're still rooted in reality. I do really like how you handled the forearms, however. Forearms are really tricky. You did a pretty good job here. Another thing that I like is that when his arms were to rest at his side, they roughly are around his, like the middle of his thigh. But that brings me to another thing that needs a lot of improvement, which are the legs. The legs lose a lot of definition, and I understand why, because you look at this, you're like, oh, it's just like a big blob. It's really not. The way that their calf muscle kind of stretches around the front of the model here breaks up the silhouette immensely. So it's kind of like a big rounded cylinder on top of another big rounded cylinder. Does that make sense? You can actually see this quad muscle and this really good crease right here, versus on yours, you really can't see that. I know like you started to, my God, Mac. You started to define that, but I think you got a little shy with these leg muscles and you kind of just didn't give them that volume. You were like, I know that there's a quad muscle here, you know, so I'm gonna just kind of draw a line, but they don't have their own distinct shape. There's just like the indicator where they're supposed to go. Does that make sense? And then just overall proportions, the knee is way too high. Another thing, a really good trick that you can do here to measure out models, let me show you. You can just take like a circle and measure the head, and then you can kind of duplicate this all the way down. I use this trick all the freaking time. This is a little tricky because he is moving forward, so the perspective is a little off, but he's like roughly 4 heads tall, roughly. Again, he's leaning forward a lot, this model, so it's a little skewed. Anyway, versus on yours, so I can see that this leg would be about 2 heads tall when it's perfectly straight. Versus on yours here, those proportions don't line up nearly as much. The head's small, it's not wide enough, and then your legs are much, much smaller. Your legs are pretty much like, almost like one head width. Does that make sense? It's really helpful being able to take these and like pick a unit of measurement and then see how that compares. Oop. All right, let me continue through here. Any questions so far, chicken? It says, yep, noting. Good. I'll just kind of keep on going here. Again, you have a good basis of forms here. I'm not really touching the face very much, because I think you did quite a good job with the face. and it's not the weakest spot. So I really want to kind of like nail down what is the weakest spots here. Another thing is that your model doesn't have a ton of personality to it. I understand that it's in a T pose, but even this one doesn't have a crazy pose. He's just kind of pulling his shoulders back a little bit. The heaviness in his face and like the bulk in the belly. Look how the belly kind of like pushes down this little loincloth or whatever. Your belly is respecting the loincloth too much. More belly, more exaggeration. Just take everything that you have and just push it farther. Bring the head down, make it wider, make the whole model wider, make the knees more pronounced, add more volume to the quads, add more volume to the belly. It's a lot of just like, it just needs more, and just take what you have and then push it farther. Also, this leather belt, I know you can do better with this that's holding it up. This doesn't say anything. I know you're doing secondary forms only right now, but there's no wear and tear on this. There's no texture on it. I do like that on this, you do have some tearing. That's great. Yeah, I would make the chain a bit bigger too. Maybe not hang down so low. Pretty good though. Chicken said, I changed his head thinking he'd fall forward if it's not on his shoulders. I get you. It's okay. He's got those huge traps to hold his head up. I love that. But this is something that I had a hard time with as well, is figuring out why models like this look so cool and hulking and like lumbering and what causes that to happen. And it is the placement of the head and the size of the head. One of the single most important proportions you're ever going to deal with is the head and the face, because that's what you're looking at. That's the first thing everyone looks at when they look at this model is the head, you know? And they probably look at the weapon and then maybe this giant belly and his toes. Speaking of, I think you did do a quite good job with the toes here. They're a little more trapezoidal. Yours look almost more like a deer versus like an elephant. Think more elephant, more round, more circle than deer. Foxy has a great question that's related to this. Mia, to get accurate musculature, should you build out a skeleton with each bone as a subtool and then build each muscle as a subtool on them? I would skip the skeleton part entirely, and I would instead grab individual spheres. So just the musculature itself. So if you're gonna like sketch out an arm really quickly, so this would be like the top part of the arm, we would make this the next section of the arm, and then we'd have like a little blob for the hand, right? So this would be like your really rudimentary, come on blob hand, start. And then you'll take this and break this down even further, because you know there's going to be a deltoid up here, so let's go ahead and split mass points, close holes, dynamesh. Right here, you know there's going to be two main muscle groups, which is going to be the bicep and the tricep. Bicep sits kind of on the front face here. Triceps kind of tucked back. Again, that's not quite true because the bicep is very front facing. So this is the bicep muscle, right? God, I'm so small. This is the bicep muscle. But notice that when I move it up, the bicep moves up. There's really nothing on the bottom here. If your triceps big enough, you'll kind of see it poke on the other side, but not really. So keep that in mind, that it's not just a bunch of blobs of muscle, there are flat spaces as well. I'm trying to really quickly get this down a little bit, but this is how I do also practice getting better with muscles, is breaking them into these pieces and then using like the clay brush to build that up. Again, there's a bicep, the tricep kind of fits back here, and then the deltoid pokes in between the two. Again, really rough blob man, but you get my point. Don't build a skeleton. Build a bunch of blobs and refine those blobs. Chicken says, making the chest, neck, and head more drooling with fat would work? Question mark. What you currently have, again, I just think your proportions are not interesting. I do think lowering the head is necessary. But yes, making the head larger and adding drool would be quite interesting. I do like that idea. And make it more of your own. Here's a really good example I can give you that kind of summarizes the mistakes with your model. Look at the head. He's like super undercut draw, and it's like drop. He's like super angry, right? Yours is just like that, but softer. So he's like full screaming. Yours just like, ah. Versus the other guy is like, super intense. Does that make sense? Like everything about this, like the head versus this, is just a less intense version. Make sense? And that's true throughout the entire model. It is, that's so true. Chicken said making his head on his chest is also kind of confusing, as to where would I put the rest of like his clavicles and the anatomy, so I used to do the same thing. I used to do the exact same thing. Essentially, the clavicles just pull down to the, they get covered up. It's so weird. What's going to save you and make it make more sense is letting those back muscles shine. And that's going to run up through the top of the head. Again, so in this monster design, you're pushing rules, which is tricky. If you're not certain on how to sculpt a body from scratch, like a normal human body, it's going to make this creature design that much harder. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to bounce back here to John's questions. John said, Mia, I also want to know if you have explained more about the topology. I sent a wireframe for that. Yeah, I did not comment on that because there's nothing about the topology that was notable. This is not like, one second. This was just a mesh that looked like it was Erie mesh once and subdivided a few times. This is not game optimized. You would need to retopo this. This is not good topology. This is fine. Like, it's just for sculpting. But like, what's your specific question for it? I did notice that your poly count is at 1,000,000 points just for the head. Probably don't need it to be that high, but it does keep it nice and smooth. I assume do you have subdivision levels for this? I mean, you must have to get it to look like this. But yeah, it's not like bad topology, it's just nothing topology. Does that make sense? Like, it's not, this would have to get retopoed by hand to make it like riggable or game asset ready. Yeah. Also, Chicken, good work. Your model is very cool. You just gotta push it to be more. That makes sense? And then John also asked, do you have a step/process when you start a sculpt? I find myself going to detail too early, but I don't know the steps to take. Does that make sense? Absolutely, that makes sense. So what I do is I have kind of like a clear thing in mind for what each stage should convey, right? So my base shapes should convey the silhouette, right? The silhouette should show whether this creature is intimidating or dainty or elegant or like scary, you know what I mean? Even without it being posed. So I don't worry about detail at all until the silhouette achieves what I want it to achieve. So for example, your model here, even when, my Discord, even without any, because there really isn't any fine detail on this, your silhouette is super strong, which is great. So I wouldn't say that you got into details too early. Honestly, there's not really a ton of detail here, but it's also because you have a more like minimalistic, stylistic approach here. I would just push your secondary forms more. And a good way to force yourself to do that is to not give yourself the poly count, allow yourself to get up to 1,000,000 polys in the first place, like you're banned. No more 1,000,000 poly count at all. Make as much, do as much as you can with as little poly as possible. That's my coffee maker screaming. Don't worry about it. Chicken said, I would try to apply everything you said, miss. I think the most problems I would have would be his head and props. Still want to see where the sculpt goes. That makes sense. That makes sense. That's so true. Eloa says, Mia, I noticed that when you review students, a common thing they encounter is turning the dial to 60 instead of 100. Yes, and what I think would help you guys with that is just literally take your model here. This goes for Chicken and for John. Save a copy of it. Literally just Control S, save a new ZPR. You can name it like Chaos, insert name, so Chaos Vulture or Chaos Troll. And just think of it, give yourself 30 minutes to mess up that model as much as you can. Make it as insane of a version as possible. So take the muscles and make them gigantic. Like take the head and make it huge. Just cut it off, just literally mask the head, cut it off and throw it on its chest and like move everything around it. Have 30 minutes of practice to just make a chaos version of it. And you'll find it's better than the model you had before. Chicken said, Mia, how long do you think one portfolio piece should take, miss? A portfolio piece is much different than just a normal deliverable, which is what I do. I've never had to make a portfolio and submit something to a company. So I am not a great person to ask, but I'm still gonna give you an answer. But just know that my answer might suck and I wouldn't even know. I think a portfolio piece should be taking you a few weeks minimum, maybe even up to a few months. At the skill level that you're at, Chicken, I wouldn't worry about that as much. I don't think it's time to dive into a portfolio piece yet. I think you need more quantity under your belt, more practice. And then a portfolio piece is something that if you put more time into it, it requires more time. Like for me, an example of this would be my Cherry Blossom Dragon. I spent a 2 or 3 stream sessions. This is not even 10 hours of work. I could have benefited from putting 25 hours of work on this and it would have shown. If you're not certain that more time will make your model more better, don't. That means you need to learn more first. Your portfolio piece is to give you space to show off everything that you know. So like good topology, just clean workflow. Again, that's when we get into like texturing and like all that kind of stuff, which I also don't have to do. But yes, you have to have something to showcase first. John says, Mia, could you give me a number where the poly count should be at that stage? It would help me a lot. Absolutely. Before I give you a straight number answer, let me dig through my models yesterday. So I made a crazy model yesterday and it was very low poly pretty much the whole time. So yeah, this entire model is 2 million points. This is only double the poly count of your entire head sculpt here. And that includes the base. That's the entire thing. When I was working on this and when I was creating the base stages, let's see how low that poly count was. I'm trying to give you like multiple examples. I made this on stream yesterday. So if you want to see this crazy thing come to life, you can do that. All right. Again, this one has a lot more forms to deal with, so it's going to require a bit more polys. Let's see. That looks like it has a base shape happening. All right, this entire thing, including the base, is 500,000 points. Just the torso, that's 6,000, 1,000, 30,000, 5,000. And look how pixelated it looks. I use Sculptress Pro to, again, the topology on this is a disaster. There's nothing about this. We're sculpting. We are not finalizing or cleaning this up, and that's totally fine. And then another good example here, it's a little cleaner, is for the chicken. I did a chicken musketeer recently. You can kind of get an idea of what that looked like when it was nice and low poly. Here we go. This entire chicken is 20,000 points, or no, sorry, 100,000 points. But like this is the kind of mesh density you should be limiting yourself to in the beginning. So if I'm gonna make like a face out of this, for example, because like you're doing a head, which I realize is very different than a chicken. Just with this shape here though, I can create an eye cavity, I can build up the brow ridge, I can start blocking out the nose. This is only 1,000 points that I'm working on right now. I know it was previously a chicken. I'm like trying to show you that I only need 1,000 points, and that means you only need 1,000 points. I'm actually trying to create your model pretty much. I hope this is like, there we go. That's roughly what your model looks like. And like, see how quick I'm able to do this because it's so low poly? There we go. So yeah. More questions? Chicken said, I've been on this troll for a good amount of time, 3 months already, and I only sculpt on this when I feel confident, and if I don't get what I like, it makes me depressed. That's super common. I so understand that. I really do. And that's like literally why I have the create bad assignment, because the create bad assignment, the whole point is getting you to sculpt consistently every single day. I mean, like, so I've made 1,000 models, and this is one thing that I do not like about my streams, is that at the level that I'm at, you guys have never seen me try to make a model and just like flop. And that happened a ton. That is like so part of it. And you guys didn't get to see my reaction when I made terrible art. Guess what I did? I still called in my husband and I was like, look at this thing that I made. Like, what I'm trying to say here is that I have failed more times than you have even tried. Okay, and that's why I'm able to do this. And you guys need to get failing more. You need to be doing a little bit of sculpting almost every single day. And you need to be okay with it looking like nothing. It has to look like nothing to be something. And I would even set a timer, like here, sit down, and this is what I imagine the create bad assignment, how it's actually supposed to go. You click a sphere. All right, I have a sphere. What do I want to do? I'm going to do a very low Dynamesh here. And I'm going to make a fun shape. What if I make a triangle? Okay, what else can I do with this triangle here? I feel like I'm inspired by it today. What's a brush that's fun? I'll use my spiral brush. Okay, that's kind of cool. What can I do with that? I'll Dynamesh that. Now it kind of looks like a fidget spinner. Ooh, you know what this kind of reminds me of now? It kind of reminds me of a heart. What if I made a really cool stylized heart? Okay. And this is how the create a bad assignment is kind of supposed to go. Today it looks like I'm going to make like a cool, like realistic, creepy, stylized heart. But maybe tomorrow I make nothing and it looks like truly like nothing. That's fine. That's okay. It's just doing it every single day and getting in the habit of creating. And the biggest thing, chicken, what I would tell you, you have to stop eating raw eggs and flour. I'm serious. Like, what are you talking about? You know when like you're baking a cake? You mix the batter, you mix in the water, you mix in the eggs. You put it in the oven, you bake the cake first, then you ice it and eat it. You're not doing that. Your model is not finished, and you're like eating that raw egg and flour mix. You have to stop doing that. If you do that, you're going to think you're a terrible baker or a terrible sculptor, and it's just not true. You're just not done. You got to cook. Literally, you got to let yourself cook. Does that make sense? John says, Mia, I was just talking to Eloa. When I turn Dynamesh down, it makes them all look like pudding. Absolutely, because that's not what Dynamesh is for. Dynamesh is for creating large shapes and fixing stretching issues more than anything. I used Sculptress Pro when I was creating this crazy creature, but I could just as easily could have used Dynamesh. If I take this shape right here and I Dynamesh it, it's going to make it look like this. And you're like, Dynamesh is terrible. No, that's not what Dynamesh is for. Dynamesh is for when I'm trying to create that shape. So I'm going to recreate this shape right now on stream, showing you guys how to do it with a move brush and Dynamesh only. So I have that little tube, and then there's two legs that come off the front, right? Well, when I start pulling this shape out, when I start pulling this shape out, you'll see it's gonna start to tear and stretch. You guys see how upset this model's getting? Look at this. There you go. That's what I'm trying to show you. See this? That means I have run out of resolution to stretch the mess. I have run out of clay, so to speak. You know what fixes that? Dynamesh. So now when I command drag, see that? Before, after. There is now even topology amongst the whole thing, which means I can continue to stretch and I can continue to do stuff. And that's what Dynamesh is for, okay? So use Dynamesh a lot in the beginning. And then you're like, okay, I like this shape thing that I have made. I want to add resolution. Because right now, let's say if I bring up my chisel creature brush and I click on something crazy at this VDM, that doesn't look like anything. Actually, it kind of does look good. Damn it. Be lower resolution, look worse. There we go. That doesn't look like anything, right? That's because I don't have enough topology to make it look like anything. We don't use Dynamesh to fix that. Do not do that. Use subdivision levels. Go to geometry, divide. Divide a few times. And now, check it out. Looks like a thing. I hope that was a good demo of the difference between Dynamesh versus subdivision levels and when to use them. John says, Mia, that's such a good analogy, great analogy. Bake, bake, bake. Cook, cook, cook. Exactly, exactly. I'm glad that connected with you. Because I know it's silly, but like there's a lot of truth to it. Can you also, and if that doesn't work for you, if you hate kids, this is not going to work. If you hate kids, don't follow this analogy. Now, normal people that understand that kids can be annoying, but they're also like creative, curious fonts of joy. I also don't like kids. Okay. If you saw a kid that was like drawing and like sketching with a crayon, you know how they hold like a crayon like this and they start like a crayon, whatever, and they like kind of like just carve a piece out and they're doing like a smiley face. Can you imagine walking over to this little kid and being like, that looks like shit? And then that kid like feels sad and goes home. That's what you're doing to yourself. Like, chicken, that's what you're doing. You say like you make art and then you feel depressed because it doesn't look the way you want it to. That's because that's what you're doing to yourself. You're walking over and being like, that looks like shit. You're going to have that voice no matter what. Just take that thought and name it something silly like, oh, it's the shame hamster again, and just throw it out the window. Just because you had a thought doesn't mean that you have to own the thought. You can look at it and be like, ew, I don't like that thought. Trash. Move on. Yes. John says, Mia, when you subdivide, how do I keep that from going to 1,000,000 polys? It will. It will a lot easier, and that's fine. If it's going to 1,000,000 polys immediately, that means that it was too high res to start with. So I went from, this is 1,000 points, to 4,000, to 17,000. There's a trend here, it divides by quads, to 70,000. And that's all I needed to have enough resolution to put this big deformation on. But if I go down to only 1,000 points, it's not enough. So only go up enough resolution until what you absolutely need to get the deformation that you want. Because when you think detail and high detail, just think high deformation, high change. That just means you need more polys to show that deformation. Just remember, more polys, more problems. If you can get away with it with less, do it with less. Oh my god, this is perfect. Optimistical Studios is here. Hey, welcome. And they say, yeah, his name is Chad. His opinion is trash. I often tell Chad to fuck off. Yes, I'm so glad that someone else uses this technique. It works. It really does. It's like you created a different voice in I call it a shame hamster. I don't know why. It's because it sounds funny. It makes me feel better. Chicken says, I agree with everything and miss, but sometimes it feels like I'm running out of time. So I feel the need to push the good pieces. Hopefully this gets better in the future. Feeling like you are running out of time is so common. I feel like that sometimes. Like, I'm just like, oh man, if I was just a better artist now, I could make more money and buy my house and have my acres and my dirt or whatever, right? And then I realize there's no skipping steps. And if you rush, you're just doing a disservice to yourself and you're not enjoying the process. You know? Like, no one ever looks back at learning in that stage and like that early stages of experiment. Think of the first time you played a video game that you really loved and everything was new for the first time. I've heard this a million times. People are like, oh, I wish I could forget, insert name a favorite game and replay it again for the first time when everything was new. Try to think of your art experience, your art journey like that as well. And if you rush, you're just discrediting yourself. It is a process that should be enjoyable. Yes, learning can be painful and there are points of contention and like stress. But it doesn't have to be like that. Yeah. Also, this is a really important conversation. You guys are being very open, and I am talking a lot. Feel free to take what works for you and throw the rest away. If that's all of it, great. If that's none of it, neat. But my word is not law. There's lots that I don't know. And you might need to find your own path and your own combination of what I said. But I know for sure, no matter what, you're not going to get anywhere without being kind to yourself, which is really hard. So good luck with that. And maybe a therapist could help more with that. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. John said, Mia, so if I was to start steps list for myself, it's subdivide first and then Dynamesh. No, it is Dynamesh, then subdivide. When you're Dynameshing, you're allowing yourself to dynamically add more to your mesh. Does that make sense? And then when you're like, okay, I feel comfortable with this, I'm ready to polish, then you can subdivide. Something that will help, John, honestly, is just watching more of my streams. And I know Eloa at this point, in a funny way, an extreme way, is probably bored to death of some of my processes. They're like, yep, She's gonna kit bash. Yep, now we're getting base shapes. Yep, time for secondary forms. Okay, we're subdividing now. Like, you watch enough of my streams, I do the same workflow every time, and you will pick up on it. The big difference is that I don't optimize for game assets and whatnot, but on the plus side, what I do, you have to do to get to where you want to go anyway. What is it called? It's like going from like low to high and then back to high to low, because like you create your high res thing and then you gotta retopo it, which is going back to low again. I find for what helps me the most is just giving myself permission to make bad art. That makes me the happiest. Eloa, yeah. That looks like shit to me. Exactly. Stop doing that to yourself. And John's like, Mia, yes, give me more steps. I get you. I'm gonna run you through my fundamentals. You're gonna like blast through these videos of like navigation, UI, just basic shit. But you might learn how to make your own custom UI and other cool tips and tricks. And we're gonna get you on this workflow. I'm gonna get you through the fundamentals as fast as possible, and then we'll go straight into project work, and you're gonna check in with me at every stage. So my project work looks like 1, designing your model, no sculpting, just grabbing references, figuring out what's gonna be. The second stage is block out. And I will tell you right from the get-go, if your block out's more than 100,000 points, you're doing it wrong. And I'll be checking in with you every single stage, so don't you worry. We're gonna learn it. Monkey said, kind of listening to the background, but when do you usually go from dividing and move to dynameshing? No, we do not do that. We do not do that. We do not do that. We dynamesh, then we subdivide. Listen, this is not a hard and fast rule. If you're an intermediate to advanced artist or whatever, do whatever you want. But if you're a beginner, no, do not. There's no point in subdividing and then dynameshing what you subdivided. There's no point for that. It's going to dynamically change the whole mesh anyway. And make sure you're dynameshing low. Please do not get in the habit of dynameshing to high resolution. That's not for you. John says, Mia, I've been learning this on my own the whole time, so I still have issues deciding whether to save it as a tool or a project. I tend to save things as projects. It doesn't really matter. If I'm going to take something and reference it or grab pieces to put into a new model, I'll save it as a tool. But I generally save things as projects. Technically, if you save them as tools, you would save a small amount of space on your hard drive. Doesn't really matter. Just Singles has kit bashing for the win. That's the only way I felt encouraged enough to start because I could only handle one sorter hat at a time. Oh, no kidding? Oh, I'm glad. That was so helpful. Good, good. Tomorrow or the next day. Next time I stream, which will be tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to be starting a new character. Again, I start with a base mesh. I don't create a body from scratch every time because why? It's just not economical the way that the amount that I create. But point being said, you will see that block out stage. You will see that process and even pose prep for character creator. So tune in for that. Ooh, Monkey said, this is great. Sorry, I probably worded that weird. I meant more, when do you decide what is better to do? That's a great question. If I'm going to be moving the mesh around a lot, and if it's going to start tearing and that kind of stuff, then I'll use Dynamesh. If it's time like to add details and the details are coming out pixelated, then I will subdivide. Good question. Awesome. I think this has been a really fun stream, really, really dense. I'm going to move into last call. Today kind of wrapped up easily. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them. But don't worry if you didn't ask all the questions that you wanted to, because we'll be doing lots and lots and lots of streams. Again, I stream roughly 4 to 5 times a week. And each of those streams is for at least like 3 to 4 hours. So there's plenty of time. Don't forget to learn everything today. It's nice to see how much pressure you guys put on yourselves too, because it reminds me to be kinder as well to me. Optimistical Studio says, do you have a listing in Discord on upcoming models? You betcha. I don't think it's in the Discord right now. It kind of just floats around, but this is the request board and roughly the list of which things get done. Foxy says, Mia, but how do you know? Need more detail? Subdivide. Need more stretch? Dynamesh. John says, Mia and to Eloa, when I watch other people sculpt, I get really discouraged because ZBrush seems to work for them. And when I struggle, I so get what you mean. Oh my goodness. The worst is when you're following a tutorial and they just like do the thing and you're like, what the fuck? Because like when you're trying to do the thing, it doesn't work. What happened was they didn't tell you some stupid button you were supposed to click, and that's why. I try to give as many like subnotes as I can without getting off topic. If ZBrush is not working for you and it's being a shithead or it's crashing, it's because you're too high poly. Like this head that you made here, if you were to do certain operations on it, like the knife brush or trim rectangle or you try to use a curve brush, it would not work. It would crash your program because you're very high poly. So, yes. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. And I feel like that sometimes too. I think one of my other students, Empress, was watching recently and ZBrush was fighting me because I'm doing shit wrong. And Empress was like, it's so nice to watch ZBrush not work for someone else too. And I'm like, yes, that's super, super normal. When in doubt, your poly count is too high. More polys, more problems. More polys, more problems. Go lower. Yeah, there's a ton of friction at the start. It can be very disheartening. And that's where you can just message me and complain and be like, help. Also, I appreciate you guys don't just like rant and rave at me. Just ask the question. Like, there's been a few students I've had that will just like complain and vent at me. And I'm like, this is very cool, but what is your question? Like, stop. You guys, 99% of you guys don't have that problem. Exactly. Maniac says, you're not seeing the journey from where you are. It does get easier the more hours you put in. Exactly. Optimistical mentioned, that is all the tutorials for Rhino. They're awful. I'm sorry to hear that. I get you. That's why I joke that I hate learning. I don't, but like I do. And I'll watch tutorials on like 5x speed and just read the subtitles because they miss a bunch of steps and then they like gloss over stuff that's important, or they do the opposite. They'll spend like 10 minutes on like how to save a file and I'm like, okay. Is there a Dynamesh number you start with? Ooh, you're gonna hate this. Okay, I can't give you a clear number because Dynamesh is relevant to the size of your model. I know, isn't that stupid? Here, let me help you. I can give you an answer and I will. So if you click on the default project, this is the sphere you have. Here, I'm gonna show you something. If I Dynamesh, I like Dynamesh like as low as possible. I'll straight up go to like 8. And Dynamesh, it looks like this. But if I Dynamesh at 8 resolution, I make this sphere super gigantic. Here, let's make this like absolutely huge. I'm just scaling up a bunch of times. And now my Dynamesh at 8, that's the result. It gave me 66,000 polys. If I Dynamesh at a resolution of 8, when the model is super small, it gave me 8 polys. And now it's square. So again, it is relevant to Dynamesh resolution is dependent on the size of the model within your scene. So if the model is just like gigantic in your scene, it's still going to give you a lot of resolution. So just be careful and be mindful of that. Just go as low as possible without it becoming a cube, right? So for example, if I Dynamesh this at a resolution of 8, which is as low as it goes, this looks like a sphere still. I'm happy with that. But if it was really small, like this, and Dynamesh, and now my sphere looks like a cube, that has fundamentally changed what the shape was. That's bad. I don't want that. I hope that helped. A lot of fantastic questions today. I'm going to end the stream right now. If you do have more questions, send them to me in a DM, or even better, go to our Discord and go to Ask M3DM Mentorship, and I will help you here. and I will answer this for y'all. Just fill that up with like a big queue of questions, okay? Maniac says, can you go back and forth in resolution if you're afraid of losing progress? You can save a copy and reproject details later. Or just Control Z. Just like Dynamesh, Control Z, find a better one, Dynamesh, Control Z. I do that all the time. John says, thank you so much. You're so welcome. I hope that helped. I really appreciate you sharing like what you're frustrated with. And today I heard from you guys that it's hard not too much pressure on yourself. It's hard to be patient with how slow learning art is, and it's not linear. And the big one is it's frustrating. It seems like ZBrush just works for other people, but not for you. So I'm going to really think about every way you guys could accidentally break these tools and tell you how to avoid that. Like the Dynamesh size dependency, I have only seen that talked about in like 2 videos. Like, that's so important. Okay, good stuff. I learned a lot from y'all today too. Amazing. I'm rooting for you guys. And I got you. It's slow, but you got it. It's going to be good. And if you create consistently and you fall off, like Maniac, you've been on and off before, right? Don't worry about it. We all do that. Be more excited that you got back into it, not how long the gap was. I'm going to leave you guys on that note because it's very important. Every habit you would try to establish, like creating consistently, you will fall out of the habit many, many, many times before it sticks. It's all part of it. All right. Take care. Be merry, peasants. And I will see you again very, very soon. Bye.